Hello and welcome to the very first Why Should I Watch. Today I'm going to be covering Blade Runner 2049. It's a sequel to a beloved cult classic which is still subject to conversation and debate 35 years on. Everyone's talking about the sequel and if it could possibly live up to the hype of the first film. Well, I've seen it, let me get my intro tile out the way and we'll get straight down to business. Blade Runner 2049 is set exactly 30 years after the events of the first film and is a direct sequel. Not just the same universe, the same city, it's a direct sequel with some of the same characters. So I guess the first question you might be asking is, well, do I need to watch the original first? I just want to say yeah, I think it's a good idea. Some movies you can kind of get away with it, they're fairly easy to figure out what's going on and things like that, but this sequel is so close visually and thematically to the original that watching the original Blade Runner first is a really good idea and it will make the film about 10 times more enjoyable. In Blade Runner 2049, Ryan Gosling plays Officer K, who's a Blade Runner, just like Harrison Ford's Deckard in the original. The Blade Runner is the name of a cop who hunts down and retires fugitive androids who look identical to humans. They're called replicants. Why hunt down replicants? Well, they were created as a slave workforce, but as you can expect, had ideas of their own. They didn't want to be slaves anymore, and who can blame them? So they rebelled, Tyrell Corp, the inventors of these replicants, went bankrupt and were made illegal until quite recently when Jared Leto's Neander Wallace invented some newer models that only obey, but the older models are still out there, now hunted down and destroyed one by one. In the first few scenes of this movie, Kay finds an older model replicant, Sapper Morton, played by Dave Bautista off of Wrestling, whose dying words are that the only reason Kay can do his job is because he hasn't seen a miracle. And it's this curious conversation that kickstarts the whole plot of the film. And I'm not going to go into any detail about the rest because spoilers, but even from that you can gather that this will again be touching on some very Blade Runner-ish themes, like what does it mean to be human? So is it actually any good? Well, this is a Blade Runner movie that's been made by a Blade Runner superfan. You can tell. It's not fan service, it's like a passion project. It's been over 35 years since the last one, so you'd be right feeling a little bit cautious about, is it just going to be another cash grab? Is it going to open up a whole Blade Runner universe with loads of sequels? Well, no, it doesn't really feel like that at all. Considering it's been so long, it's nice to see how much has been left intact, not just in the Blade Runner universe, but in the real world. A lot of people who worked on the original film are on board for this one as well. Deckard is still being played by Harrison Ford, which is a pretty big deal, as Deckard is one of Harrison Ford's most beloved roles, and that's not even the best reunion if you ask me. It's the new additions to the cast that elevate this one for me though. Cinematography legend Roger Deakins from Fargo and Sicario's on board to do the cinematography in this film, and director Denis Villeneuve from Arrival and, Sicario again, are really leading the way with this film. This has got to be one of the coolest looking films you'll ever see. Not only does it stay true to the cyberpunk themes from the first film, but it does introduce fresh ideas, fresh concepts, and technological advances to the world as you'd expect from a sequel set 30 years on. The world feels so well made, whether it's dingy and dense alleyways full of neon lights, sushi, holograms and prostitutes, or huge empty deserts seemingly decorated with only huge broken statues. You never leave the world of Blade Runner during this film, not once. You're immersed from when it starts and it never lets you go till the whole film's over. It's not just the visuals that immerse you, but it's the audio too. You're immersed before you actually even see anything. Atmosphere is a key component to the Blade Runner universe, and before the first scene even appears, the vibe of the music just gives you that instant Blade Runner feel, and those huge reverby sounds that are so reminiscent of the first films come back again for this one. So full credit goes to Hans Zimmer and Benjamin Wallfisch on that front. Despite the film being so open and grand with huge set pieces and loads going on, it feels incredibly personal in a way that reminds me of something like Ex Machina or Her. It's just as much about the importance of personal relationships as well as the implications of the grand scheme of things. What do replicants mean for agriculture? What do replicants mean for workforce? Of course it answers those questions, but it also touches on things like what do replicants mean for interpersonal relationships and things like that. There's not a ton of main characters and loads of the film is actually Ryan Gosling just doing some incredible face acting, the likes you've seen before with Drive and Only God Forgives. Harrison Ford's actually great in it too. He's been coming back for Han Solo and Indiana Jones in a way that seems a little bit like fan service to me, but as Deckard, he's actually really interesting. It reminded me that he can be more than just a charismatic, lovable rogue, and he played the part in this film really well. Jared Leto comes in with the goods as you can expect and commands the screen every single time he's on it. Dave Bautista does a great job of immersing you as Sapper Morton as well. He manages to do a subtle performance that's not completely built about the fact that he's a gigantic human being. The highlight for me by a mile though was Anna de Armas' character Joy, and no, that's not why. I'll say nothing else about that though, because you'll have to watch it to find out. Blade Runner 2049 is nearly 3 hours long. It's entering some Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers territory really, but it's a film where every scene feels meditative and enjoyable. There's a lot of unspoken acting here, and I can see the film dragging out for some people. It's quite common that films this long are accused of being a little bit drawn out, or maybe half an hour could be chopped out. There's a lot of quieter moments in the film, and that might disappoint some people. It's not an action movie, let's get that right. There's a lot to unpack and think about this, really. There's already loads of online discussions about it, conversations, debates, all that sort of thing you expected from a Blade Runner film, really. And it's going to leave the cinema with you. This isn't just a mindless blockbuster of the summer. It asks as many questions as it answers, and I know that's a cliche thing to say, but it does. Between this and Dunkirk, I think Warner Bros are going to be laughing all the way to the Oscars this year. I'm not the only one going crazy about the film, though. People seem to agree that it's better, and at the very least on par with the original. To be honest, this is my first ever video on YouTube, and I wish I didn't pick one where I'm being so damn vague and hyped about everything, so I can't really talk about it as much as I'd like to, but if you go and see this film, you'll thank me later for not spoiling anything. So that's it from me, thanks for watching. If you're interested, I'm going to make a video just like this every single week from now on, so if you enjoyed it, then why not leave a like or a comment, some feedback, even better subscribe to the channel. No pressure though, maybe I'll see you again soon.